Hi, welcome to part 58. We will look at some more questions. I hope you have subscribed and a lot of paid content is in the members area. So let us look at this question now. There is an online learning company migrating to AWS cloud. Okay? And the company maintains its student records in Postgres. So if you want to move to Postgres in AWS, we we have two options. Either we can put it on EC2 instance or we should use managed services. Always use managed services. If you use managed service, then RDS for Postgres is your answer. You should go with this. This is a managed service which is available only primarily for Postgres. So this is trying to test your database level knowledge. So A cannot be an answer because we will not create a custom solution. If you put something on EC2 instance or database, it becomes a custom solution. AWS is taking your knowledge on managed services, not custom solutions. They don't want you to be an intelligent person to create custom solutions. See, here one thing is important. You want to make sure your data is available in other regions also at all times. If that is the case, DB snapshots cannot work. DB snapshots, see, it is very difficult. Always you will have to take a snapshot, then transfer it, then import it. It is a time consuming process and you want released operational overhead. And option B will not work because we are talking about multi-AZ feature. Here we are talking about multiple regions and not multi-AZ. See, one region has multiple availability zones. They are looking for multiple regions, not multiple AZs. So in this case, you will have to create a read replica in another region. So the replica will keep getting replicated. The sync will keep happening in other region, and that is the best way to make data available in all AWS regions all times. See this one, you have a company and the company has web application. They have put it on 7 EC2 instances. So you want to make sure that the company that requires that the IP addresses of all healthy EC2 instances, like there are 7 EC2 instances, if suppose 5 of them are healthy, all these should be returned in response to DNS queries. So in this case, which policy will meet the requirement? So the first option says that let us look at simple routing policy. So this is an important documentation on the routing policy. What we are looking from a routing policy perspective is like which one will apply for this question. Simple routing policy used for a single resource that performs a given function in your domain. For example, a web server that serves content. You can use simple routing to create records in private hosted zone. So that is not our need. Our need is different in this case. So simple routing will not work. What about latency routing policy? See, latency routing policy key thing is it will work if you are in multiple AWS region and you want to route the traffic to the region which has the best latency. Something like, for example, Netflix. If the content is in, suppose you are watching Family Man and it is an Indian content and you are watching it from say Sweden, so it has to be multiple AWS regions and a copy will be kept in Sweden as well, and the routing will be done to Sweden so that they get the best latency, so that there is very high performance, lowest latency. Well, that is not what our question is asking for. That is why this is wrong. Multi-value routing policy. See, we are talking about DNS queries. So this is something we respond to DNS queries with up to 8 healthy records. So we are also wanting healthy EC2 instances and so on. So this is our answer. Geolocation routing policy. See, if the user is in Singapore, route them to something which is close to him. If the user is in Sweden, route it to something close to them. That is geolocation routing policy. In our question, we do not have anything related to geolocation. That is why option C, multi-value routing policy, is the right answer. See, there is a medical research lab. It produces data that is related to the new study. So they are doing a lot of experiments. They are collecting data. Now the lab wants that the data is available with minimal latency to clinics across the country. Suppose if they are in USA, so they may be in California, they may be in Boston, they may be in New York, they may be in so many other locations. So they want the minimum latency across that country. Okay, for what? For on-premises file-based applications. The data files are stored in S3 bucket that are having read-only permissions for each clinic. Now, as a solution architect, you want to recommend a solution for this one. So that means you have some storage, you have some files on premises, and you also have it on S3. So here, what we have to use is a hybrid solution. So in this case, EFS will not be of any use here because you will have to use something which is using storage gateway. So similarly, option B, it says you migrate all the files to each on-premises applications. So this is a stupid option. Data sync we use for database migration, database syncing up. We're not using for file syncing up. So that is why B is wrong. Now, both C and A are making use of storage gateway. What is storage gateway? Storage gateway is like, you provide on-premises application with access to virtually unlimited cloud storage. So that means, suppose you are on premises and you are just left with say 1 terabyte of space. Now you want to expand it. It is like you want to expand it, but virtually unlimited. So you plug a storage gateway in between, and your cloud will be connected, and you can use AWS S3 cloud, which is virtually unlimited. You can store anything you want, how much you want. Okay, boss, we know both are using storage gateway. Which one should I use? File gateway, volume gateway, file gateway, volume gateway. What should I use? So one thing we should check is, so this one volume gateway, it stores and manages on-premises data on S3 on your behalf and operates in the cache mode. In cache volume gateway mode, your primary data is stored in S3 while retaining your frequently accessed data locally. So if there are some files which you are frequently, very often you are using, so that copy is kept in on premises. Otherwise the data is always kept on S3 bucket. That is volume gateway. What about file gateway? See, here you have some local caching, and it stores and accesses SMB and NFS file data also. So there is some privilege here. So here in this case, we will not make use of volume gateway, because we will make use of file gateway, because we also need a lowest latency, the minimum latency. The reason I'm using this is because minimum latency, and that means I will have to use some caching, so that caching can only solve this problem of minimum latency. Second is storage gateway volume. What it will do is, it will store bulk of the data in S3 bucket. So you have this S3, and it will store the data S3, and whatever files which are used frequently, it will store a copy of that in on premises. But what about other files? Only frequently files will be kept, but what about other files? Then there the latency cannot be minimum, right? You are telling me to guarantee minimum latency. How can I guarantee minimum latency if only frequently accessed files are kept in on premises? So that way my performance is not good, latency is not minimized. That is why I will go with AWS storage gateway, file gateway, because here the caching will make sure that the latency is minimized, and I get the same unlimited virtual storage features of S3 bucket. So I hope you understood the concept. How did we, beat out the wrong options to arrive at the right answers? If you have not yet subscribed, do so. There are previous parts which we have kept in the Cloud Kernel and Cloud Ninja membership area. You can become a member, gain access to this. Those are all paid contents. It will help you clear the certifications. So thank you for listening to this part. This brings us to the end of part 58. See you in the next part.